Hi, welcome to SBR Videos. I'm Peter Loshak. We are talking with The Dream and Rob from Sports Bettors TV.com. We're analyzing each of the regions in the NCAA Tournament. Today is Tuesday afternoon. We're in the heart of the analysis process here. Right now, we're going to take a look at the South. Wide open, right, guys? Rob, the South, wide the fuck open, right?
You know what? I have to disagree with you on that. I think the Dukies are here to play here, especially after getting embarrassed by Notre Dame and getting an early exit of the tournament last year with Mercer Madness. I think the Dukies are going to roll here. I mean, I've taken a look at this. I'm looking at the bracket. Maybe to get St. John's the following round. Utah is probably Stephen F. off Austin. I can't see any of those teams knocking them off. The only team possibly that maybe giving them a run for their money in the Elite Eight would be maybe Iowa State. I just don't see any teams knocking off Duke, to be honest with you.
No? Well, how about let me run this down for you. Gonzaga, that is a tough team. They're deep, and they have a bunch of big men. Iowa State, I picked Iowa State to win the Big 12. We know what they can do. They got 6 guys who score in double figures. If they're down 17 against a top team, no problem. They can come back. They did it repeatedly. Utah, they slumped badly at the end of the regular season, but they were awesome in the beginning of the season. If they reverted to that form, would not be a shock. SMU, coached by Larry Brown, that wouldn't be a shock. Even Davidson and UCLA, both quality teams, a lot of teams who could take out Duke, right, The Dream?
This is my Miss America team that the bad Playboy pictures came out of on, as in Duke. But she's still a quality product.
Sure.
The thing we have with Duke, and I do like some of the teams that you mentioned. However, with all those teams, I could say a lot of things to contradict. Gonzaga, I've always felt, was overrated. They play a very weak schedule. They're not battle tested and battle hardened as Duke. And you can't base it off a conference play, because now you're going to see teams that haven't played each other a lot.
Sure.
So you have to have multiple ways to win the game. As I said in a couple of these other standpoints that I've made, even with Nova, Duke is one of these teams that can beat you multiple ways. They can beat you inside with Okafor. They can beat you outside with their guard play in your backcourt. They play good defense, solid defense when they want. They got 3-point threat shots, and they have Coach K, a legendary coach, maybe the greatest head coach of all time. No other team in this southern region presents to you all of those options. So basically, Duke is a Porsche loaded.
All right, but look, I mean, you're talking about the odds here. If the odds were all equal, I would agree with you. But with Duke, you're only getting plus 174, and we saw what happened with them, right? They lost to Miami. They had numerous losses. They had numerous games where they sort of struggled, against weak teams. They struggled against Virginia Tech. So I'm not saying they're not a strong team, but are they strong enough to warrant a bet at plus 174? I mean, you got Iowa State at almost 5-1. Utah at 7-1. If this were in mid-February, I would have said that was a play for sure. I'm definitely down on Utah at the moment. SMU, definitely an outside chance, but 21-1. I mean, there's a lot of teams here that could take Duke down. If Duke can lose to Miami, lose to the teams they lost to, if Duke can struggle against Virginia Tech, you really want to bet them at plus 174 here to win the South?
I do, Pete, because I believe that the loss to Notre Dame only made Duke that much stronger.
Okay, sure.
It made them see the weakness in their game. It made them understand that they need to come out and play hard from beginning to end and take no opponent lightly. And it kind of brought them back down to earth. And I believe that they will be an absolute monster in that division. In those other teams, I'm sorry, I find too many inconsistencies and shortcomings in almost everyone else in that Southern Division. So I have to say that I think Duke is a clear-cut favorite.
All right, guys, let's pin each of us down here to some futures odds as of right now. Again, in the South, I'm not sure what I'm going to do. I'm going to give a pick here. That might not wind up being my official pick, Final Four in my brackets, but let's start with you, Rob. If you have to make a pick right here, right now to win the South, what would it be?
I would definitely take Duke, and I'd sprinkle a few dollars on Iowa State just to back myself up.
Okay, Duke plus 174, Iowa State plus 482, and the Dream, what's your pick officially for the South?
Duke.
Duke plus 174. And my pick, this is tough. Again, I might change my mind. I'm going to go with Gonzaga at plus 309. All right, those are our picks to win the South. Now let's talk a little bit about maybe possible value to get to the Elite Eight, Sweet 16, or a round of 64 spreads? Rob, let's start with you. Anything you want to discuss with us about the South you think is worthy of note?
Yeah, I'm taking a look at it. I mean, you have a lot of heavy underdogs. So what I like to do as well is I like to take a lot of the higher seeds as futures to win the whole thing, as well as backing these bets up with the region futures. Taking a look at this, I mean, the problem I see, I mean, Iowa could be a little bit of a sleeper, to be honest with you. SMU, if they get through UCLA and Iowa State gets through UAB, which I don't see a problem with that, I think that would be a hell of a game. So, you know, taking a look at this, I mean, it's looks like a little bit of some stomachache matchups for sure.
Yeah, sure. I'm seeing that. All right, the Dream. What do you want to share with us in terms of the South as far as other futures are concerned, or maybe round of 64 spreads?
I like Iowa. I like Iowa State. They're the only team that impresses me here. I know a lot of people are talking about Gonzaga. I thought Gonzaga is so overrated for where they play. When you look at teams like Georgetown that have battled out all season long, even St. John's been battle tested as well. Iowa State, you know, very battle tested. I got to tell you, I think that Gonzaga has the greener, softer schedule, and I think it's going to come to fruition pretty early in these in this tournament. As I got Iowa State beating Gonzaga.
Really? Okay, yeah. I'll tell you what. Georgetown currently getting disrespected by the market odds, plus 1281 to win the South. Those are a lot longer than the other top four choices. So you like Iowa State over Gonzaga? Yeah. Look, Iowa State's a strong team too. The thing with Gonzaga though is they're deep, they're balanced, and they got big men. If those guys can get it going, they're going to get some easy buckets, some rebounds, and you know, I hear you about their regular season schedule, their conference schedule, not the strongest, but you know, it's just a team just based on how they look on paper. Their team makeup looks very imposing to me.
It does, but when we get over to the West, I'm going to tell you another team that their big men are even better than theirs, but it just doesn't seem to work.
Okay, I hear you.
In this situation. As I said, college basketball in the past, it's a point guard driven game.
Yes.
And that's another reason why you just really got to love Duke, as their backcourt is probably one of the best in college basketball.
Sure.
But Iowa State, I like their game. I think they're good too, and we will keep eyeing Gonzaga. But I think Iowa State is probably your second best choice to sprinkle a little bit of money on, as far as maybe the Elite Eight in an upset over Gonzaga.
That could be. All right, let's move on to the West, guys.